Life in Ancient Egypt, a deep dive into daily life. Daily life in ancient Egypt was a fascinating blend of survival, culture, religion, and innovation, all centered around the life-giving Nile River. The Nile's annual flooding provided fertile soil, essential for agriculture, which shaped almost every aspect of Egyptian life. Farmers, who made up the majority of the population, worked according to the seasons. They plowed and sowed seeds in the fertile black soil left behind by the floods, growing crops such as wheat, barley, and flax. These crops were the backbone of the Egyptian economy and diet. Farmers lived in small mud brick houses, often grouped in villages, and their days were long and physically demanding. They paid taxes to the state in the form of crops and labor, and during periods when farming was not possible, many worked on monumental construction projects such as temples and tombs. Beyond farming, there were skilled artisans, laborers, and merchants who lived in more urban settings. Artisans crafted beautiful jewelry, pottery, statues, and intricate tomb paintings, while laborers built the magnificent temples and pyramids that continue to amaze the world today. Many of these workers lived in state-planned communities such as Deir el-Medina, where they had relatively better living conditions compared to the rural poor. Merchants traveled up and down the Nile, trading goods like gold, papyrus, linen, and grain in bustling markets, often interacting with traders from neighboring regions like Nubia, the Levant, and even parts of the Mediterranean. Egyptian society was highly stratified. At the very top was the pharaoh, considered a living god on earth, responsible for maintaining Ma'at, the divine order of the universe. The pharaoh's power was absolute but needed to be maintained through diplomacy, military strength, and the careful support of religious institutions. Below the pharaoh were nobles, priests, and officials who helped administer the kingdom and maintain religious practices. Scribes held a particularly important role. Literacy was rare, and scribes were essential for record-keeping, tax collection, legal matters, and administration. Education for scribes began at a young age and involved years of rigorous training under demanding masters. Family life was of paramount importance to the Egyptians. Marriage was considered the norm, and most people married young, often in their early teens. Marriages were usually arranged, and while love was certainly valued, alliances between families and economic considerations often played a significant role. Children were cherished, and large families were common, as high child mortality rates made having many offspring essential. Although Egyptian society was patriarchal, women enjoyed a surprising degree of rights and independence compared to other ancient civilizations. They could own property, manage businesses, represent themselves in legal matters, and even hold religious offices. Queens like Hatshepsut, one of the few female pharaohs, and Nefertiti, who played an influential role alongside her husband Akhenaten, are famous examples of women who wielded significant power. Religion permeated every aspect of Egyptian life. Egyptians believed that gods and goddesses influenced every element of the natural and human world. They worshipped a vast pantheon of deities, with major gods like Ra, Isis, Osiris, Horus, and Anubis playing central roles. Each town often had its own patron deity, and major temples, such as the great temple complexes at Karnak and Luxor, were centers of worship, administration, and social life. The pharaoh was seen as an intermediary between the gods and the people, and religious rituals were essential to maintain harmony in the land. The afterlife was not an abstract concept, but a very real and pressing concern for all Egyptians. Life on Earth was seen as only one part of an eternal journey. They believed that living a life in accordance with Ma'at would lead to a blissful afterlife. Elaborate burial practices were developed to ensure safe passage to the next world. Even commoners tried to afford simple tombs, while the wealthy constructed elaborate burial sites filled with goods, amulets, and detailed inscriptions. Tombs were often decorated with scenes from the deceased's life and spells from the Book of the Dead, a guide to navigating the challenges of the afterlife. Food and drink played an important role in daily life. The staple diet included bread, made from emmer wheat, and beer, which was often safer to drink than water due to fermentation. They also ate vegetables like onions, garlic, lentils, and cucumbers, fruits like dates, figs, and pomegranates, and occasionally meat from cattle, ducks, geese, or fish. Spices and herbs were used to flavor their meals, and honey served as a natural sweetener. Wealthier Egyptians enjoyed more variety and luxury in their meals, including delicacies like roast beef, wine,